Win Total Tuesday, live right here on the early line on SportsGrid and all across the SportsGrid network. 28 of 32 NFL teams. By the end of today, we'll have reported to training camp in full. Only 4 more teams we wait on tomorrow, but all 4 teams in the AFC West have now shown up for training camp. It's a division, Donnie right side, that has been absolutely dominated by the Kansas City Chiefs. 8 straight AFC West divisional crowns for KC over the last 8 NFL seasons. And based on the odds, that's what we expect this year as well. Minus 230, the Chiefs 11.5 the win total, plus 350 to win the AFC. Yet again, of course, Kansas City has won the AFC 4 of the previous 5 seasons. But there is some interesting storylines entering the AFC West. Jim Harbaugh, it is his first year in Los Angeles. The commander of the Chargers now, the leader of the Bolts. 8.5 the win total for LA. Antonio Pierce, the former interim head coach in the desert, now the permanent head man for Las Vegas. 6.5, though, the win total for the Raiders. Can they use their inspiration of Antonio Pierce to end out last year for a successful 2024 campaign? And the Denver Broncos bring up the rear. After a disastrous 2-year run under Russell Wilson in Denver, it's year number 2 for Sean Payton as the head man in the Mile High City to figure things out. But 5.5 the win total for the Broncos, and it's not an overly optimistic picture this season in Denver. What is your overall evaluation, DRS, of the AFC West entering 2024?
It's pretty simple. 2 of the teams have really good quarterbacks. That's the Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Chargers. The other 2 teams, the Raiders and the Broncos, don't have very good quarterbacks. So that's where you see the separation here at the FanDuel Sportsbook, with the Raiders at a 9-1 price to win that division, the Denver Broncos at a 20-1 price to win the division. But let's focus here on Kansas City. And I can't stress this enough. You're not supposed to be good for a long time in the NFL, because just based on how the NFL evolution is, most players don't play 10 to 15 years outside of dominant quarterbacks, which again is Patrick Mahomes. But players slow down. The salary cap is supposed to catch up with you each and every year that you have a good season. The NFL says, okay, congratulations on your good season. I'm going to set you up with the hardest schedule next year and also give you the worst draft pick of the first round, second round, third round, and so forth. But the Kansas City Chiefs continue to buck that trend. And last year was the year to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. They didn't have any wide receivers. They just had Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. They didn't have home field advantage entering into the playoffs. They had to go on the road and beat a Buffalo Bills team and a Baltimore Ravens team, and then go in and probably face the most talented team in the NFL, the San Francisco 49ers, without any wide receivers that you can say are maybe a Pro Bowl caliber level in the next couple of years. Now they reamped up. You go into the draft, you get yourself a wide receiver. You hit that free agency, get yourself a wide receiver. And now you still have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. So this year is a better version of last year's Kansas City Chiefs that won the Super Bowl. So you're not, again, I say this as a handicapper that's been doing it a long time. You're not supposed to do this. But how many times can you continually look at the Kansas City Chiefs with a healthy Patrick Mahomes and not honestly believe they're the best team in the NFL? They don't have the best team overall. They have Mahomes and Reid and a supporting cast. That's good enough for me. They'll win this division, and they'll run away with this division.
If you don't want to bet minus 230 at the moment, I understand it. If you don't want to eat the chalk and bet the shortest price to win the AFC or a Super Bowl, plus 350 to win the conference, a 6-1 number to win Super Bowl 59, I guess I understand. But based on history, Kansas City with a healthy Patrick Mahomes is going to at least play in the AFC Championship. 6 years with Mahomes as the starter, dating back to the start of 2018. KC has played in the AFC title game. Up until last year, Kansas City had hosted the AFC Championship game in Arrowhead. That was one of the question marks around Mahomes' postseason resume. Could he win on the road? He goes to Buffalo. They knock off the Bills. He goes to Baltimore. They knock off the Ravens. They win their 3rd Super Bowl in the last 5 years. No team has ever won 3 consecutive Lombardi trophies in the history of the National Football League. So I get maybe some hesitation in betting Kansas City's price to win it all once again. But I think the idea, Donnie, that Kansas City falls off that the Chiefs do not win the AFC West or factor into the postseason, this is the year you predict KC to go 8-9 or 9-8, more than likely not going to happen, because in the 6 seasons with Mahomes as the starter, only last year was the year they did not win 12 regular season games at bare minimum. They finished with 11 under the win total entering 2024 of 11.5, but the over has the slight bit of juice for Kansas City. And I think the idea, Donnie, that the Chiefs would not stand atop the perch of the AFC West once again might have been an enticing conversation entering 2022 or maybe even last year in 2023. Not so much this year, because who's going to hold KC back from that top spot? Is it Jim Harbaugh in his first year in LA? Is it the Broncos with a win total of 5.5 and a rookie quarterback under Sean Payton, more than likely in Bo Nix? Is it the Raiders with Antonio Pierce? The Chiefs should make it a perfect 9 for 9 in terms of divisional titles within the AFC West.
Absolutely, and they will again. If you have a crystal ball, and I don't care who else is playing for the Chiefs other than Patrick Mahomes, if he plays 17 games this year, there is no way that the Chiefs are not going to win that division. You might have had a different argument out of me, because obviously when you have a regime change, like we saw with the Chargers, I think they finally got the coach that's going to be able to help them compete over the next couple years. That's the key term, over the next couple years. He's rebuilding that franchise. He didn't come in and say, you know what? This team is really talented. Let me do a 1-year evaluation. Give me those same players. Let me see if I can turn up the gas. Because you had the wide receivers, you had the running backs. Now you completely flipped it on a head, where Harbaugh's instilling what he wants out of the future, which usually doesn't equate to success right out of the gate. I do believe that Herbert is going to be a very good quarterback over the length of his career. But I do think he has to understand what Harbaugh wants out of him, and also getting that roster what Harbaugh wants that to be over the next couple years. And again, the NFL, you can have a quick rebuild. You might have a decent season this year. The next year, maybe the Chargers will be looking towards Super Bowl contenders. The Vegas Raiders, come on, Gardner Minshew is going to lead that. We already know how unhappy probably, Devontae is going to be out there immediately if they start the season 1-4, 1-5. Is going to look to try to get out of town. Yeah. If you take a look at the Denver Broncos, complete rebuild mode. So this isn't what we anticipated over the past couple years. Like, hey, man, Chargers are really good. Vegas got a decent vibe. The Denver Broncos with Russell Wilson, they can challenge the Chiefs. This might be one of the easiest years for the Chiefs to win that division, which, again, it's so Patriots-like here for us, Ben. The reason I bring them up is, how many times do we see an easy division to win? We're like, come on, man. Somebody at least challenge them. They get 6 free wins every single year in the division. Of course they're going to be a 1 or 2 seed every single year. That's what you're going to get once again out of the Chiefs. Just by default, they should win 12 games and be possibly another number 1 seed this year, home at Arrowhead for the holidays.
DRS, you would expect Kansas City, having won the Super Bowl for a second consecutive season, the Chiefs being the notable team around the NFL, the schedule would be difficult with that first place landmark. Not necessarily the case. Warren Sharp, our lead NFL analyst here on SportsGrid, and his analytical team does a great job of predicting strength of schedule based on your opponent's projections, their win totals for the upcoming year, all the things that are used to handicap games, and the odds makers use to set lines, rest advantage, disadvantage, travel, all of that good stuff. The Chiefs, the 12th easiest schedule in the National Football League. We'll talk about the Bolts a little bit later on. The Chargers have the second easiest schedule in the NFL, according to Sharp Football Analytics. And Jim Harbaugh is a winner. He is a program. He is an organization builder. 8.5 is the total for Los Angeles. The over, a slight bit of juice. Can the Chargers have a winning record in 2024? And would 9 wins be enough to be an AFC playoff team? We'll have that debate a little bit later on to end out our second hour. Win Total Tuesday resumes live right here on the early line on SportsGrid. He's Donnie, I am Ben. We talked about the Chiefs, minus 230 to win the AFC West, the best for any team to win any division in all of the 8 around the National Football League. KC, 11.5 is the win total. They have won at least 11 games in the last 6 years. They have played in the AFC Championship game each of the last 6 seasons. They have hosted the AFC title game 5 of the 6 years. They have won the AFC West 8 consecutive seasons. Of course, 3 Super Bowls in the last 5 years, so on and so forth. But what about the other teams then in the AFC West? Can they contend for the division? More than likely not. Can they make some noise maybe in a wild card race? I think our focus in that conversation, DRS, is on Jim Harbaugh in his first year in Los Angeles at the helm of the Bolts. 8.5 to win total for the Chargers. The over has the hefty juice at -154. What do you expect LA to do in year one under Harbaugh?
Be competitive in every game. Like, I'm not going to watch games down the stretch where the Chargers have a 24-21 game, 24-17 game, where they have the lead or behind to falter in those instances. That's the one thing that we've always brought up here for the Chargers. Let's just say the past 10 years or so. It was the head coach not having this talented roster ready to play in every moment of the game, which means, hey, they look good one game. Boy, how could they blow that late? They can't find a field goal kicker to make a field goal. They're making dumb decisions late. Hey, we can get ourselves in the playoffs if we just play for the tire as opposed to harass the Raiders who can actually knock us out of the playoffs. You can't have that stuff. And Harbaugh is going to have this team motivated from day number one. Now, are they as talented as what we saw in the past couple years? Probably not at this point, but there's still some players over there, Pro Bowl caliber, particularly on that defense with Mack and Bosa and Samuel Jr. at the cornerback position. But also take a look at the offense. It starts and ends with your quarterback. And we think Justin Herbert is a sensational quarterback. You figure Harbaugh will get him to the next level. I just don't know if we have the wide receiver talent just yet in order to do that, and how likely it's going to come together before the season starts. They will be competitive this year. A chance of the playoffs, yes. A chance to win the division itself, absolutely not. But this is the start of that trajectory that we expect to see in 2 to 3 years. The Chargers continuously going to be mentioned as Super Bowl contenders. I do believe that.
Yeah, absolutely so, right? That is what we expect. Jim Harbaugh to take the reins for the Bolts and in 2 years' time put them into a conference contention and that position. First year in San Francisco with the 49ers way back in 2011. They won 13 games. They were 13-3. The next year, they won the NFC, played his brother John in a Super Bowl, of course, in 2012. 12-4 the following year in 2013. 8-8 in his final year before he returned to his alma mater in Ann Arbor to take over for Michigan. Whether it's been the FCS level back at San Diego or Stanford when he reinvigorated a long dormant football program, or in San Francisco with the 49ers, or back, of course, with the Maize and Blue in Ann Arbor. Jim Harbaugh wins. He just wins. And there will be a chance for LA, I think, to contend for a playoff spot. Not in minus money to make the postseason at the moment, but a plus money price for the LA Chargers to be a playoff team this year. I think that would be something for LA in their first year under Jim Harbaugh. Plus 118, that definitive number on the Bolts to see the postseason. We'll talk about the Raiders and the Broncos a little bit later on. But DRS, there were no other teams outside of Kansas City that finished above 500 last year. The Raiders and the Broncos actually tied for the second best record, both at 8-9. Las Vegas under Antonio Pierce. He was their guy last year. You could feel the fervor they played for with Antonio, their interim head coach. Got him to be named the permanent head man. What will the Raiders do this year, having a win total of 6.5?
They got some talent, but they just don't have the quarterback. Like, if it's going to be O'Connell, like, you're just giving up on the season. And I understand Gardner Minshew can be that veteran presence, and they'll probably be a better football team. But sometimes you do have to have that eye on the future. Like, what's best for your franchise? To go in with O'Connell and say, you know what? I think he has some talent. He still might be on that learning curve, but we got to get him through to evaluate. Or to just go out and say, hey, Gardner Minshew, win us maybe an extra game or two, which might get us into the playoffs, but doesn't really help us in the future of knowing where our quarterbacks are actually going. Because, again, getting back to it, there is talent there, but if you don't have the quarterback going up against Patrick Mahomes, you're not going to be competitive in the division. It's going to be interesting to see what the Raiders do 5, 6, 7 games in, and also Devontae Adams. If he starts screaming he wants out, then we just go into a complete rebuild at that point.